Good evening, everybody, and welcome to phase two of the Battle Royale in the Zwift Racing League. Tonight, we have a team time trial around the Magnificent 8 course. We're starting this time with the ladies, and we have 4 teams. So in the C's, we've got the Otters, who have a 5-minute wait, and the Meerkats, who have a 1-minute wait, so they'll be off first. And in the D's, we've got the Dolphins, who are at 3 minutes, and the Bobcats, who are at 2. I'm joined tonight by Craig Martin, Claire Spencer, and Grace Owen as we follow all of our ladies' teams first, and then we've got the men's later on this evening. So I'll just quickly hand over to Claire. Claire, how are you expecting this to go?
Yeah, so I'm following the Meerkats. I know they've only got four races tonight, so they've got Bria Fallon, Lauren Camp, Marcy Varley, and Christine Barr. They're all 4 of them strong riders. So, I'm expecting to see, each taking turns on the front, hopefully just short ones just to allow that recovery. And, they're going to have to stay together till the end. They won't be afford to drop any riders. So they're off now. So they're out. So the next team's going to be a minute out behind them. Yeah, so they're all out together, all 4. No technical problems there. So they're all grouped up. Lauren Camp's just hooked onto the back. So hopefully they'll settle into a pace line now and just keep rotating that front.
Sorry, while I go a little bit quiet, I'm just having some technical problems. Trying to find Ellie, who I've been following tonight, or rather I will be following tonight. No, we've got her back again. So be following the Dolphins. I can see the Bobcats have just gone off, Craig.
The Bobcats are off, and they're moving off together good. Didn't leave anybody behind, and looks like they're moving right into it. Okay. Okay.
I think that means the Dolphins should be off in about 30 seconds' time. So I'm just going to read out a little description of the course, thanks to Zwift Insider. The route will begin in downtown Watopia, riding through the start-finish banner in the reverse direction. We'll ride around the volcano, across the land bridge, past the noisy waterfall, and over the reverse hilly comm. This is the only significant climb of the entire route. Next, we'll hang a right onto Ocean Boulevard, then a left to Fuego Flats for a spin around the desert. And this will bring us all the way round to a right turn onto Ocean Boulevard, where we'll make our way back to downtown Watopia for the finish. How are the Bobcats getting on?
Bobcats are doing well. They're going up the hill, leaving the beach, and looks like still moving quite hard. I think they're gonna do quite well here.
Yep, Dolphins are off as well. They are 300 meters into the route, nicely bunched together, and holding about 41-42 kilometers an hour. I'm going to be focusing on Ellie tonight, and she's already putting out more than 200 watts, so definitely taking a good turn at the front. Claire, what's going on where you are?
So that they're heading around the back of the volcano now, all sitting in a nice 4. Bria Fallon's just done her turn at the front. She's probably one of the stronger riders, so I can imagine I'm going to see her on the front quite regularly. It looked like it was around about a minute pulling, so maybe that's the tactic as they're going round. Lauren Camp on the front now doing her pull. Around about 4 to 5 watts per kilogram. So if they keep pulling on that type of effort on the front and then resting at the back, then they should be quite competitive. But this is definitely the Meerkats' strength from the season so far. I think in all 3 TTs they actually finished top of the results so they are strong at TT. It's just having that 4 riders that they've just got to make sure they don't drop anyone at all.
Yeah, absolutely, and fingers crossed for no technicals as well. Grace, you're following the Otters tonight. Have they started, or have they still got about a minute to go?
No, they've just left. They're all together straight away. No technicals, 6 riders, all really strong TTers. I can see on mine that the Ds and the Cs look like they're on the same map. So I'll be interested to know if the riders can see them, because that might cause a couple of issues. But yeah,
Yeah,
this Otters team is strong. So
looks
expect
like
a fast time.
looks Grace like we can definitely see the riders on the timing screens down the right hand side. So I think we may well see other categories, which certainly could make things interesting. I'm sorry to jump in there.
No, don't worry. All good. So yeah, that's all 4 teams out on the course. No technicals, which is always a good start to DT.
Absolutely, Craig. What's going on with the Bobcats?
So Melissa Joy is dropped back. They've had a split. So she's dropped back to pull 2 riders back to the front. So right now they're sitting with 2 groups of 3 about 3 seconds apart. So not ideal, but looks like they're working to get this back together as fast as they can.
And with the Dolphins, we did have a tiny little split off the front. I think Lisa was about 5-10 meters up the road. We've been overtaken by a C team called AO. They're 20 odd seconds up the road now, and that happened about a minute or 2 ago. The Dolphins are looking very, very solid, all sticking together quite nicely as we just go around the volcano. Claire, how are the Meerkats doing?
Yes, no change really. All 4 all together, staying tight, no breaks or anything. Bria happens to just fallen back onto the front now. But yeah, they're just rotating nicely, still heading round the back of the volcano. Yes, they're doing well. It looks like it's a target of about 4.5 watts on the front to then settle back in and to recover. So they're just there's no other teams near them, so they're just working on their own there.
Just to touch on some of the key points on this lap, very kindly supplied by Benedict Poynton. The key split areas are the dirt switchback just up to the village, around the statues on the climb, and then we've got the climb out the desert as well, where it hits up to about 5% just after the roundabout. Dolphins still looking very solid. We're 2.7 kilometres into this lap, which is around about 30k. Craig, what are you seeing at the moment?
Okay, so the Bobcats are just passed by the C AEO team, and as they passed, the pass kind of ripped them apart into the 2 groups of 3 again, but they're back together. Terry Holdner took a huge pull on the front, and but now they're rotating and back in their group of 6. So looking pretty good, and they're just doing all the way around the volcano here.
Grace, how are the Otters getting on?
Yeah, really good. They've made up 9 seconds on the C team in front of them already, so that'll be a good team to have as a rabbit in front of them. Marine putting out some wonderful numbers in her pull at the front. A very experienced team, got a couple of lemurs and wolves from Thursday night races, so expecting them to catch this team soon. But yeah, now down to 10 seconds. That's a quality start when they've only done 2.6k so far. Really quick team. Yeah,
fantastic start. Can see the gap between the Dolphins and the Bobcats is now down to 27 seconds. So this could certainly be interesting in the latter stages of the race. Claire, you mentioned about this being the Meerkats' strongest discipline. How are they getting on?
Yeah, so they're just heading on the gravel roads up towards the waterfall. So they're all together. sort of blobbing rather than any form of pace line, but certainly, there's no gaps in there or all within that second. No issues there. Christine Barr's just taking them at the front at the moment. Just sort of heading under the bridge just to sort of leave the village area. I think it'll be that King of the Mountain is going to be the one that they need to, they're going to have to make sure that they don't get any gaps. They don't want to be waiting at the top, wasting any time there. So they're just going to have to be sort of very aware, of not dropping anyone at all.
It looks like Ellie's just doing a pull out the front. Just saw her hit 400 watts to get to the front of the group, and then she held there for about 20-30 seconds or so. And we are running in sort of almost 2x2 foot file. Not quite the pace line, but it certainly looks like we've got someone on the front doing the pulling. So we'll certainly see how that one pans out over the rest of this race. We're just coming up to about 5 kilometres. We have got the climb coming up to the village fairly shortly, where it ramps up to about 2-3%. So our riders will definitely start to feel that, but it's not quite the sort of reaches we'll get with the Helicom or the climb out of the desert later on. But 5k in, 8 minutes gone, looking good. Grace, Otters.
Yeah, still flying along. They've now made up 13 seconds on the C team in front of them. So this is really flying along. Massive numbers from all of the riders here. Three pink trons. I think that is, as always, contributing to the speed. Yeah, they're looking really good. Taking turns between them. Yeah, would be a happy DS if I was an Otter DS right now.
Super. So we've got 2 Dutch riders in this group of Dolphins. We've got Jess and Kirsty, both Dutch. So if they were listening to our Friday night streams, they probably know that they need the orange Tron, and the rest would need the pink one if they have it available. Craig, how are the Bobcats doing?
The Bobcats have gotten back together. So when
Craig may be fixing some technical difficulties, or he may not be able to hear us, but hopefully we'll be back with Craig shortly.
Craig is back.
Claire, Craig is back. Excellent.
So the Bobcats are split up a little bit off of the dirt switchbacks, but they're regrouping well. So one rider had dropped off after taking a long turn, but pulled it back. So everything looks to be pulling right back together. So good news for the Bobcats. They're have to see whether they're going to be able to hold off those Dolphins.
Super work so far. Dolphins have now closed the gap down to about 20 seconds. So Ellie's just having a big dig up the hill, holding mid 200s at the moment. And yeah, so we've got these the switchbacks before the actual switchbacks. But I think we head on to the Helicom there. We're just getting overtaken by an ATP team who are in the CCAT behind. So as we mentioned, we are able to see other categories in this race. So trying to see if we can see which ATP team it is, but no, they just all appear to be tagged with ATP. So they've gone through now. Really nice clean pass, which is always good to see, and no real sort of interference with the Dolphins. So Dolphins are just heading up towards the switchbacks now, where they'll take a left up towards the Helicom reverse. Yep, the Helicom reverse, which is the longer of the two. Probably see times around about 5-6 minutes. But certainly it's the nicer way round to do it. The steep section is relatively short, and then after they've done that, they've got some rollers before they get round to the banner. Grace, whereabouts are the Otters at the moment?
The Otters have just gone past the 6k mark. They're down to 5. Looks like Emily is off the back. I think She may have been dropped for the moment. She's a new rider this season, had a cracking season. These 5 front riders are very experienced, very strong riders, so maybe they're going for the time. Yeah, flying along. So the next team they've got 35 seconds in front of them is your Dolphins, so that'll be interesting in a bit. And that ATP team that have just passed the Dolphins are in their sights as well.
Yeah, I suspect it won't be too long before we see the Otters come past the Dolphins. They're 30 seconds back at the moment, so we'll see how quickly they're able to bring that gap down. Claire, how are the Meerkats doing?
Yeah, so we've done the hardest part of the King of the Mountain now. We have got a little bit of a split, so Bria Fallon is about 3-4 seconds off the other 3 riders who are together. So hopefully they're going to make their way back up to Bria, so that once they've gone through the banner, they can regroup and then sort of head on to the downhill and the flatter part of the course together. But they're looking good. They're about 1:50 ahead of the next C team, which is AUO. So it doesn't look like they're taking a lot of, AUO aren't taking much time out of the Meerkats, despite having more riders. So, they're looking strong. They've all just come back together now, so all 4 back together. So hopefully now they can settle in. They've done the hardest part of the course now. So.
Yeah, and the Dolphins are just on that nasty bit of climb as we speak. It's well, not quite, but they're at a 4% section just before it gets really steep around the corner. Craig, Bobcats must be just over the nasty bit.
Bobcats are still right on the nasty bit. They're just almost to the top of it. They were just passed by the ATPC team. Actually, that pass
And
happened.
the Dolphins are just coming up to the 10% corner at the moment. Grace, Otters are still chasing these guys down. There's only 15 seconds now.
Owen?
Yeah, we're on the 5% bit, about to turn the corner up to the steepest bit. I reckon it's going to get messy towards the top. Who doesn't like overtaking another team on a climb? It's a classic of the TT setup. The time's going down. I think these are some strong climbers, so I reckon we'll have a herd meet up in a few seconds' time.
Certainly looks that way. We've got the Bobcats who are 10 seconds in front of the Dolphins, and we've got the Otters who are 10 seconds behind. So it could all come all together at the same time. So let's hope we don't have 3 herd teams all together at the same time, because otherwise I'm just going to have absolutely no idea what's going on. Craig, are you back?
I am back. So the Bobcats are doing well in the climb. They were passed very cleanly by the ATPC team on the absolute steepest section, the best spot to pass, and they're working together very well. Rotating turns looks like on just a minute or a little bit more. So they're doing very well. Definitely for a TTT, I prefer this direction for the hilly KOM, because there's just the one short bit, and the rest of it, while still climbing, is at least draftable.
Yeah, definitely. And like you say, the vast majority of it's draftable, so ideal for staying together. You've just got the one ramp, but the Dolphins have come through that unscathed, seemingly, and they're all nicely together, and Ellie's doing a little bit of turn up the front. As we see the Otters fly by. Grace.
Yeah, very, very clean takeover. We saw a lot of 5 watts per kilogram, 4 watts per kilogram, very, very neat overtake there. Bit confused for a while because there was one too many herd jerseys, but we do like to see that herd dominance in these races. Looks like we're about to come up on the HBBD team as well, so the Otters are going to have to do another little sprint past this team. Very interesting. They put all the C's and D's in the same world, but it gives us more to talk about, so let's not complain.
Absolutely, and I'm just glad we didn't have all 3 teams coming together all at the same time. But Dolphins were, when I last saw, about 9 seconds behind the Bobcats, so I'm guessing the Otters are going to fly past pretty quickly. Looks like they're just doing it now.
Ah, see, now I understand that H3Bs, of course, are Bobcats. So yes, we have just gone past the Bobcats. Apologise for my slow thinking there. But yes, they have just gone past. Again, another clean overtake. So they've now got 30 seconds to the next C team, so that ATP team that set off just before them. So they're catching them quite quickly. They're down to 5 riders, but doing good pulls between all of them. Looking very strong from the Otters side of things.
Great work, Otters. Claire, how are the Meerkats doing?
Yeah, they're doing great. Still together. They've come down the other side of the KOM, taking that right turn. On their way to the flat aspect of the course now. All very tight, working together. Marty Varley's just on the front at the moment, sort of pulling 3.5 watts per kilogram. About 250 watts. So riding very well.
Great work. Meerkats. Craig, how are Bobcats doing? They've got some Dolphins bearing in.
They do have some Dolphins bearing in. They seem to have picked the pace up a little bit on the KOM. They've definitely slowed how much the Dolphins are catching, and they're moving very well. And the switching turns on the front seems fairly seamless as they just do it again right now. So Bobcats look very good. They're just approaching the KOM banner right now, and I doubt we're going to see we're not going to see the KOM times, but they are going to get across, and they're going to get across without having to try to sort out at the bottom the two herd teams descending together. So.
Yeah, I think if we'd all joined together on the banner, that could have got very, very messy. But looks like, fingers crossed, we should get down to the bottom before there's any overtakes required. Dolphins are 7 seconds behind, and just hitting the descent now. Grace, how's the Otter versus ATP dash?
So at the moment they're just doing some good air attacking, getting some air in their lungs, just going down that little hill. I can see in front of them they've got the D team, so the ATP team has overtaken the D team, so they've just got a little gap in between. It looks like they've got 27 seconds to catch up to ATP, so they're bringing down that gap. I think they're going to catch them before the end at this rate. Really strong performance.
Super job. And Claire, Meerkats, how far onto the race are they now?
Yeah, so they're out into the desert now. They're approaching the Virgo Flat sprint soon. So, they're motoring along quite nicely on the flats. It looks like the team behind it's just taking a few seconds out of them, but still sitting 1 minute and 37 behind. So hopefully that they're going to stay away from that team. Fingers crossed. We've got Lauren Camp on the front at the moment, sort of taking her turn as a pull, a little bit more in a line now. So hopefully that's going to make it more efficient for them, and they can keep rotating that and just making those pulls nice and short, hopefully.
Yeah, and Dolphins are down to the bottom of the hill. They have made the right-hand turn at the bottom, and they are shortly going to be taking the left-hand turn onto what I think is the hardest 3% hill in the entire game, the little climb going towards the desert. And if you've done like single or 2 lap races of TikTok, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, because this climb really can start to sap you in. But they have some Bobcats to chase down. Craig, it's not looking like it's going to be that much longer now.
No, it looks like it's going to be pretty quick. Maybe around the top of this little climb that isn't on the coming into the desert. But the Bobcats are doing well. Just looking in the YouTube stream, we had some questions about the team time trial format. So we're following the 4 herd teams that are in the team time trial. They all set off at different times, and they go, and it's based on elapsed time. So there's a little confusion on what is going on in this race. So.
Yeah, so I think one of the most confusing things to get your head around at the start is that All of the D teams start in the deep end, and normally in a race, when the timer hits 0, everyone will go as fast as they possibly can for a few seconds. But in this the team time trial format, each team is given their starting time, as Craig touched on just there, and basically you'll have a timekeeper on each team, and they'll keep the rest of the team informed as to when they need to start. So just on in the D teams tonight, we had the Dolphins who had to sit tight for 3 minutes, and the Bobcats who had to sit tight for 2 minutes. So basically, you don't pedal at all. You wait until your start time, and then you go. So the Bobcats had a 1 minute head start on the Dolphins. Um, and I'm trying to remember. I think the Meerkats had about was it 4 minutes, Claire, on the Otters.
Yes, I think that's right. The Meerkats had a 1 minute delay and the Otters had a 5 minute delay. So yes, it should be a 4 minute difference between them. I can't see any sign of the Otters yet, so I'm not sure whether they'll actually sort of close 4 minutes on the Meerkats. Yeah, so the Meerkats, they've just gone through the sprint in the desert, still sticking together nicely. I think now we're on a bit more of a flatter section, it does look like more riders are taking turns at the front. So we've got Christine Barr leading at the front at the moment, and I know she's a strong rider. She is a fantastic sprinter, so maybe was just saving, just hanging back a little bit on that sort of first section, just to make sure that she did get over that KOM together with the rest of the team.
Just going to come back up to the little explanation of the TTT. That there are basically 2 different ways you can race these. You can either all sort of blob up and everyone sort of goes at the same sort of watts per kilo, or what some of the other teams like to do, and you'll hear us talking about turns. So it could well be that each rider will do 30 to 60 seconds up front, and when you're on the front, you're obviously not getting any benefit of the draft from that you'd get if you're behind a different rider. So quite often you will see teams do 30-second pulls. Normally means you might have to do about, call it 1 to 1.5 watts per kilo faster than you might normally do, but that helps your team develop what we call a pace line, where you basically see all the riders in single file, as opposed to the blob that the Dolphins have adopted tonight. And I know, Craig, you've been talking about the Bobcats doing a few pulls.
Yes, they definitely have somebody pulling at the front. They're not doing a strict baseline as I've seen some teams do, but they are definitely having somebody pull at the front, and a little bit of a blob behind the front too, which is another way to do it where you're not quite as vulnerable to one rider losing the wheel.
Great. How the Otters getting on? Are they 15k in now, a bit further?
So they've done 14.6k. They've got 15 seconds to catch up to this ATP team. If we look at it in terms of how they did yesterday, so they did really well yesterday and managed to come away with first in the points race after some incredible climbs and sprints. What they're looking at now is keeping that dominance in this race. So they're also chasing AEO, who are 1 minute 50-ish in front of them. So if they can keep that under 2 minutes, they should take the win tonight as well. So they'll be keeping an eye on both these teams. Yeah, again, they've gone for not quite a pace line, but some really strong pulls, seeing some really high 200, 300 watts from these riders, all very experienced, going very fast.
So we've got utter carnage is about to happen. We've got the Dolphins have just caught onto the Bobcats, and they are actually they're doing a fantastic job of making the pass. Coordinated sprint effort, and they've just flown by. Brilliant job, Dolphins. Ellie was holding around about 450 watts and doing a fantastic job. And we are all through. It looks to have been as clean as you like. The gap to the Bobcats has opened up to 3 seconds. So brilliant pass. Craig, what did you see from your end?
That was a textbook team time trial pass. That was very clean. I'm not sure the Bobcats even had a chance to let off as the team being passed is supposed to allow that gap to happen. No, that was extremely clean. I will say it does appear that we do have a little bit of data that looks good out of Zwift Power Live for once, and it does look like at the moment on time the Dolphins as it sits have passed the Bobcats obviously, but but both teams look like they're ahead of the BRT entry.
Yeah, so Dolphins are just coming up to the sprint banner in the Fuego Flats, which is going to be around about 15.4, 15.5 kilometers, and that essentially is our halfway point. Still doing a great job. Ellie's still holding around 200 watts as we go through the banner right now. It shows on the map as a banner. Isn't really a banner, but Ellie's just momentarily lost some riders, but they all come back again, so that's a relief. If we go back to the Cs, Claire, how are the Meerkats doing?
Yeah, so they've just got up to 80.7 kilometres now, so they've sort of gone past the Oasis, so, they're still together nicely. I'm sort of looking for the team list, and, I know Grace has mentioned ATP, and the Otters are just coming up on ATP. So the ATP looks like 3 minutes behind the Meerkats, so, that's probably about a gap of 3 minutes now between the Meerkats and the Otters. And then there's a team sort of sandwiched in between of AEO, which, they're sort of creeping up on the Meerkats. The time's coming down, but not particularly quick. It's about 90 seconds gap now, so, it's just ever so slowly ticking down, that gap is.
And how are the Otters doing, Grace?
Yeah, they've got the gap to just under 10 seconds now. It's on the 9-10 second border. They're on a nice flat bit, just going to come up to that little fake rise at the end. Yeah, 17.3k, so they've still got a lot of time. Yeah, but at this rate, they've dominated against the ATP team. It's just a question of that AO team, make sure that's under 2 minutes. But yeah, taking really good pulls at the front, looking super strong. Seeing some really high watts from all 5 ladies.
Super job. And the Dolphins, just a little time check. We've got the BRT BK team in front, and that gap is coming steadily down as well. That's at 32 seconds at the moment. It was about 38 about a minute ago. So hopefully something for the Dolphins to target and bring them in as well. So I mean, hopefully in the next 10 minutes we should be able to see the BRT BK team. But doing a great job so far. Craig, how are Bobcats doing?
Bobcats are still doing well. We can still see the Dolphins right in front. They seem to be trying to keep and maintain a nice 5-second gap. So well outside of a draft, but I think they're using that as a little bit of a pacing aid. So they're doing very well still all together. And swapping around pulls in the front very nicely.
That's Craig. And just to go back to our sort of explaining of the TTT theme, there is a team time trial every Thursday morning, afternoon, middle of the night, if you prefer. If you head on over to the Herd Racing League and click on the announcement section, you should be able to see the roll call for that. So if you're liking what you're seeing tonight and you fancy giving it a go and you haven't done before, fill in the poll, which is that little Google form, just to let Lisa Jones know, and Lisa looks after all of our team time trial entries. Just to let her know that you want to give it a go. So we generally have in the region of 30 teams over the course of the day, and just in terms of UK times, that can be anything from Zone 2, which is 10:20, Then we have teams at 6:40 and I think 7:45, maybe 7:40. And then we've got our predominantly American teams who race at around about 11:30 UK time in the evening. So if that does sound like something you would like to take part in, and you've had a look at the stream tonight and think, oh, that sounds like good fun, then by all means, please fill in the poll and join us. Grace, how are the Otters doing?
We've got 6 seconds now to the ATP team. I'm just watching them claw their way. Very apt, as they're Otters. They're clawing their way up to this ATP team. Really cracking job. Just realised, unlike Claire, I didn't introduce our riders. So if you don't mind, I'll tell you who these people are. So in this group of 5 people, we've got Erin, Sarah, Maureen, Bridget and Rach. And then at the start, they also had Emily, who's new this season. She's done a really good job all season, but she dropped off towards the start. So they're down to 5, but all of them putting in really good numbers at the front. Sarah right now doing 4.2 in her pool. So, really catching up with that team. Just watch them. The time's going down, but they'll get there. They'll get there.
How about the Meerkats, Claire?
Yeah, so the Meerkats are at 21.8 kilometres now. So it's still together. The work is so well, for having such a small team. There's been hardly any splits at all. They're just taking turns on the front. It's absolutely fantastic, to watch them. It's 4.3 Lauren Camp's pulling on the front at the moment. Christine's just sitting behind, waiting for her turn, and then she'll go through to the front, and you'll see her figures sort of bump up to around about that 4.5. Back into a pace line now. It's just looking really, really good. And the fact that so many of these were new riders this season. I know Marcy Varley was completely new to racing for this racing league. Lauren Camp, I think, had 2 or 3 races under a belt before starting the Zwift Racing League. So, they've just picked it up so quickly, and they're just doing absolutely fantastic.
Super. And back to the Dolphins, the gap to the BRT BK team is now down to 22 seconds. So hopefully by the end of this race, we should be able to see the Dolphins catch on. They're at 19.3 kilometres. I think we've got about 11 to go. And those Bobcats, Craig, are hanging on in there. The gap is still only 4 seconds.
They were actually even closer than that at one point. I think they kind of made the decision that they weren't going to pass, or they weren't going to attempt to pass back. But no, they've absolutely matched the Dolphins from the time of the pass on. So they're doing very well.
Yeah, absolutely, and certainly seeing some quite a few 3 watts per kilo from the Bobcats behind. They are definitely determined not to let the Dolphins get away, and will they even try to retake the place back? We will see in the next sort of 15 to 20 minutes. Dolphins still doing really well, holding a nice pace, 37 kph. Ellie's just putting some power down again, just to get onto the front. Saw 280 watts, and she's now leading the Dolphins out for another stint. Grace, Otters, how are they getting on?
4 seconds now, they're getting there. It's just amazing how casually these women are putting out, top 200, 300 watts on these pools at the front. Really even split between them. They're just working so well together. Very, very dominant all season, and you can see why. Yes, 4 seconds to that ATP team, and that AEO team is still 1:50. But as long as that stays under 2, they should get the fastest time and win the whole shebang. So they're doing very, very well.
And how about the Meerkats, Claire?
Yeah, so they're at 23.6 kilometres now. So they've just gone up the Calder Saddle Springs, which was a potential place where we could have had splits occurring, with it being sort of 3 to 4%. But but absolutely fantastic. Bria was on the front pulling them up. It looks like you were certainly watching each other, making sure that there weren't any splits occurring. So hopefully they're just sort of going on to the rollers now, maybe get a little bit of rest on the downhills, and then hopefully just be able to sort of really push hard for last section. I think they've got about 1 minute 15 or so in front of AO. So, hopefully, they're going to stay away from them.
Fingers crossed. And just quickly touching back to the Dolphins, they have 19-20 seconds to the team in front, but the Bobcats behind are now back to 3 seconds. So could all come back together. But just touching again on this series. So this is the second playoff event of the Zwift Racing League, where basically all of the best category teams across all the divisions have a shoot off against each other. If you are interested in joining the Zwift Racing League, we run 50 approximately ladies and men's teams across various different time zones, and the league this season was 8 weeks long with these 2 bonus events at the end. So we have 5 scratch races, which are points races where you get points for being first over the line at various different points, and there are also bonus points available for your final position. As well as how quickly you can do the sprints and the climbs. So again, if you head over to the Herd Racing League page and click on announcements, you'll be able to see where you can express your interest for both the ladies and the men's team. Claire, who's with us tonight, she looks after all the ladies' teams, and Craig looks after all the men's. So great opportunity to say a really, really massive thank you to both of you, and also Lisa, who looks after the Thursday TTT team. So thank you very much from me for taking on that, what is an absolutely huge piece of work to ensure that all of our riders are able to find teams and have the best of times on a Tuesday. So big thanks to both of you. Craig, Bobcats are not giving up at all.
They are not. They are absolutely nailed themselves to that 3 to 5 seconds back from the Dolphins.
I'll talk for Craig instead. The Otters did it. They passed the ATP team very cleanly, very well done, and now they are on the hunt. So they've got AEO in front of them, 1 minute 47. Unlikely to catch them, but as I said all along, as long as it's under 2 minutes, they will win today. They won yesterday. So it really is a fight-off between these 2 front C teams to see who wins this grand finale that's occurred.
So just to give Craig a little bit of a break, so Craig is also presenting all of these pictures you're able to see tonight. So we should not be surprised if he's a little bit busy as the men's race is just starting at the same time, and you'll be able to see from your screens that got one of our teams racing at the moment. Just coming back quickly to the Dolphins, they are now 16 seconds away from BRT BK as we just come to the roundabout. So we'll skirt by the roundabout before we take on the 5% climb that takes us out of the desert up towards Titans Grove before we start to head towards the finish. Claire, how far into race are the Meerkats now?
26.7 kilometres, so they're just in the ocean tunnel now. Looking good. I can't quite see where that ATP team is now. I think they're probably the team that they're trying to beat, as the Meerkats finished 4th last night and ATP finished 3rd. So if they can beat them tonight, that'll sort of be a really good achievement for them. Yeah, but yeah, doing really, really well.
Craig, are you back with us?
I am back with us. So what's going on right now is the herd of charging coursers in the mixed Ds has set off. So they've started and are heading towards the volcano at the same time as the women's teams are going through the last 10K or so of the course.
And we'll be following the Mustangs as well once the ladies' race has finished. But just to let you know, Craig, it looks like the Bobcats have just started to fall off a bit now. The gap is now down to, or rather up to 7 seconds. They did pull it back to about 3, but it looks to be stretching out a little bit now. However, the gap to BRT BK is now only 7 seconds, and can definitely see them on the map. And we're just getting our first glimpses of them on the road as well. So that will definitely keep the Dolphins interested, and should be able to catch and pass in the next 5 minutes or so. Grace, whereabouts are the Otters? How far have they got to go?
So they're at 26.2. We're underwater at the moment, going past some fish. They may stop to have some food. I don't know what otters do. They're 150 in the AAO team. I think it's really interesting that they get to chase them. Both the AAO team and Otters have probably been the most dominant women's sea teams across all the divisions, as is being seen tonight. So they're doing really cracking effort. They've just gone out of one tunnel and back into another one, so they'll be underwater for a bit longer now. Still doing some great pulls on the front. Really strong TT performance by these ladies.
Not far to go at all now. I think you're probably about 3 or 4 kilometres to the finish line. Claire, how are the Meerkats getting on?
Yeah, so they're not far from the finish line now, so they're 28.5 kilometres, so, you know, they're not far at all, sort of heading towards the bottom of the KOM where they take that right turn, and then they're beginning up for that final sprint, all 4 together. So hopefully they can sort of really pick up the watts for this last, 500-600 metres. It's, not far at all now. They'll be seeing the banner any moment.
Super job, Meerkats. And looks like just looking at the stream, as you say, they're very close. So why don't you just talk us through the final stages? They must be coming up to the banner very shortly.
Yes, it should be coming to the site any time now. So I can imagine Christina's probably going to take a lead out possibly. I know, like I say, she's a bit of a sprinter. Having said that, she's now sitting at the back, but sort of it, in that nice line. Banners coming up, probably 200 metres to go. Sort of really, up to 4 or 5 watts per kilograms, all of them. So just pushing through, and they're literally crossing the line 4 abreast, which is kind of perfect finishing for a team time trial event.
Brilliant work, Meerkats. Thanks for calling the shots there, Claire. Grace, Otters, about 2.5 to go.
Yeah, we're at 27.6, so not long now at all. Going to also take this opportunity to not only thank Craig and Claire, who, as you said, done a cracking job all season looking after all the teams, but also to all the team captains just watching Rach at the moment as an example, who have kept everyone together. I think the number of people signed up for the next season is proof of how good not only Claire and Craig have done, but all the captains. So if you're a captain listening, congratulations and well done too. But yeah, they're now at just going 28 kilometres, so really picking it up towards the end now.
Big thank you to all of our captains. Just back to the Dolphins, they have just hit the underwater section. BRT BK are only 5 seconds in front. Can they catch them before the end of the race? We've only got about 3 or 4 kilometres to go. We are just about to take our turn before we hit the second of the tunnel sections. Can see that the Otters are now out of the tunnels and are down to about, I think it's the last kilometre.
Yep, 28.3, so they're really, really getting there now, picking up the pace, some 4.2s, all the high 3s being pushed out here. I think at this pace they'll have taken the fastest time. I think AEO have just about finished now, and so 28.5 to go. This is where I check the notes to see where the finish line is, but I think it is less than 1.5 to go. I'm going to go with less than 1.
I think it's pretty close to 30 kilometres. They'll go past the pen and then they'll have about, I think, 300-400 meters to go. Just very quickly touching on the Dolphins. They are now really, really reeling in BRT BK. There's only 2 seconds difference. They've got a little swirly bit before they climb out of the tunnel, and then they'll be back into Watopia for the finish. But Otters have got to be really, really close now. I think we're down to the final kilometre.
Yes, definitely. So in 29 kilometres, so I'll just talk you through the end bit. Yeah, so all 5 of them stay together, really, really strong. We've got Erin on the front at the moment doing 5.1, carrying them to the finish. Really strong all together. Big numbers here. What a cracking end to the season for this team. We've got some sprints coming out from a couple of them, but all of them over the line together. Yeah, perfect. And they're done. Cracking effort.
Really
and
well
you can
done.
see they're all at 0 watts immediately. So that must have been a massive effort from all of them. Cracking work, Otters.
Yeah, it sounds like they gave everything on the road and didn't have anything left after we went over the line. Just back to the Dolphins, we are still sat 2 seconds behind BRTBK. We will be climbing out of the tunnel before too long at all, and they may be able to use that as an opportunity to try and latch on and overtake, but still 2 seconds behind. The Bobcats, despite a very spirited effort to not let the Dolphins get away, have slipped back a little bit. They're now 13 seconds behind. But BRTBK have actually pulled out a little bit more of a lead. It's now up to around about 4 seconds. See Ellie at the front holding low 200s as we hit the hill. Can the Dolphins use the hill to their advantage? Ellie's over 300 watts, so she's definitely having a good dig. Gap is back down to 3 seconds. I hope that we can see some 2s and 1s before too long. It's definitely looking really, really close now. Craig, can you quickly touch on how the charging courses are doing?
So the charging coursers are doing well. So they're racing with 5 today. They've gone around the volcano. They've gone up the dirt switchbacks, and right now they're being passed by a TBRC team. But they're doing very well. Although I do see some rhinos coming up about 45 seconds behind. So that's where they sit right now, though. So back
Thank
to
you.
the Dolphins.
Dolphins have caught and passed BRTBK. It was a fairly decent pass. All the girls put out big power to get through. We are now in the last 800 metres to a kilometre before we see the banner. Ellie just had a nice lead again. She's putting out another 370 odd watts to launch herself towards the front of the field as well. Looks like she might be the lead out train, or is she going to settle in second wheel? She's settling in second wheel. Got one more right hand turn to go, and we can see the banner on the map now. So not far at all, down to the last 500 meters or so. They've already dropped BRTBK by 3-4 seconds, so looks like they've been completely demoralised. But we've just got this right hand bend, and I think we've got a little left just afterwards, at which point we will see. Yep, so we've got a right and then we've got a left hand bend, at which point we'll see the banner on the screen. And then it will all be over for the Dolphins. And looks like we're going to finish with a time of just over 50 minutes, which is a fantastic effort from the Dolphins. BRTBK still 3-4 seconds behind, and the Bobcats are 20 back, so not too far away at all. Dolphins putting down their final push over the line, and they are done. And Bobcats will be coming over the line in around about 15 seconds time. So Craig, just quickly switch back to you to find out how the course is getting on. Whereabouts on the course are they now?
So the courses are just approaching the reverse KOM right now. They're in a very tight blob, and they're using the old classic churn technique. And I see Anne Fleming, who's pretty much their designated climber, going to the front for the KOM. So they're doing very well here, and I think going right according to their plan.
Super job, thank you very much. I am just going to go a little bit quiet for a moment while I just try and find some Mustangs to follow. As we can see from the stream, the courses are doing quite nicely, about 7.5k through after about 13 minutes. So good job so far. But just bear with me, and I will try and find myself some Mustangs.
I found a Mustang. I will take your lead for a second. They're all out the pen. They're just 1 kilometre in, and they're all together. They've all got numbers by their names, so I'm hoping to see some big pulls from all of them. But yes, we've got all 6 of them out. But as we said earlier, good start for TTT. Most of the guys that raced yesterday are back again. We've got Marlon just 2 seconds off the back, but I don't think that'll be a problem. I think he'll get back on quite quickly. Already on a flat at 43 kilometers an hour, so they're going to fly around this course, I think. Got a lot of experienced TTTers here, so expecting a fast time for the Mustangs. They haven't coordinated their colours of Tron bikes, which is a questionable decision, but they're a nice group of herdlings, so we'll allow it as they start this race. So 1.6k. Have you found them?
Still not. Working with a relatively slow internet connection is never particularly helpful. Craig, what can you tell us about the courses?
So the courses are just at the so 2 of them are at the top. They've got a small split on the very steep bit of the reverse KOM. So the first 2 are kind of sitting up to wait for the rest, and they're moving on. So I do have the Mustangs. So they are going around the volcano right now. Watching Felipe pull at a nice big 4, and they're swapping around Trons of many colors, and off they go.
For silence here, guys. Anyone who's ever tried following anyone in Zwift knows that you need to know what they're called, and I think all of them have changed their names, which makes things a little bit problematic. But we will find someone fairly shortly.
James, their Herd space MM is your search keyword.
Thank you very much, Craig.
Yes, at the moment if we're looking at the Mustangs, we've got Marlon on the front doing 3.5. Yeah, they've gone for a numbers theme, which I think is what's throwing James off a little bit here. Hopefully they're going to pull out some big pulls between them. They've all grown a lot this season as both individuals and a team. Some strong TTers. My Wikipedia of Mustangs that I've been given from the wonderful Carlos has told me that our TTers to look out for are Jim, Foster and Ed. Not that the others aren't good, the others are obviously very good riders as well, but those are the 3 that we will keep an eye out over tonight's commentary.
Excellent news. I found people. The world is a better place already. So I'm now following Ed. And as Grace mentioned, Ed's definitely got the power numbers tonight. He can, I would say, happily hold 300 watts. I mean, he doesn't like to because he's a little bit lazy. And he'll certainly give me some grief later on about having to do this race. And I believe he got an FTP increase last night, so well done, Ed. So we've got who we got tonight in the Mustangs. We've got Felipe, we've got Foster, we've got Jim, Marlon, Tim, and Ed as well. All of these guys are capable of doing 20-minute power in the region of 3.2 to 3.5. Three of them have managed to promote themselves into B category, and I think when I was looking last night, only one of them was. So it could well have been it last night, saw a couple of promotions, and I think Ed's probably not too far away at all as well. So Mustangs are 4 kilometres in through 6 minutes. They are round the volcano, and they're now just going along the causeway before we head towards the switchbacks. But we've got the KC team in front who are only 4 seconds away, so hopefully they can pull that in nice and quickly. So quick courses check, Craig.
So the coursers are just about to the top of the reverse KOM. Their banners in sight and they're pushing hard. So there's a cryogen team from the C's that has moved between them in between. But the last time I saw the split to the rhinos behind, they'd put 10 seconds into them over the first part of the KOM. So they did very well on that climb.
Just quickly jumping in for an overtake over the KC team from the Mustangs. It looks to be a very clean pass. They all picked up the power pretty quickly to get through, and looks like the KC team, they're a second back now, so it looks like they've set up nicely as well. So thanks, KC. Always good to see nice passes in the TTT, because anyone that's done this knows that it can occasionally get a little bit messy. But we are just on to one of the little rampy bits, the switchbacks around the village, and then we'll head to the main switchbacks, where we'll take a left-hand turn before our one classified com of the evening. So Mustangs looking good. And we will hopefully get some time gaps to the teams in front before too long. I believe we've had to say goodbye to Claire, and I'm not certain if Grace is hanging around with us. Grace?
Grace is also gone, James. So it's
yep,
you and I.
It is indeed. So big thanks to Claire and Grace for keeping us company and talking us through the ladies event earlier this evening. So it's myself and Craig and YouTube. So anyone that's got anything that they'd like to hear from us, anything they'd like to ask us, please do so, and we'll keep on calling the shots from the course. So the Mustangs, Ed is doing a little lead out, and it's like his pull's just finished. We've got Boone on the front now, holding. Oh no, sorry, it's Felipe. No, it's Tim. I don't know what I'm talking about. So Tim's on the front at the moment doing 4.5 watts a kilo. Foster was in front very briefly, but we're definitely adopting a paceline style of TTT tonight. We are just about to head left on towards the hilly com. How much further up the road of the courses, Craig?
Courses are quite a long ways up the road. So they're climbing the wood bridge into the desert. They had a little bit of a split on the downhill actually on the KOM. So it looks like right now, two of them, Eric and Matt, are about 6 seconds ahead, and Anne's dropped back to help pull Jay and Dennis to rejoin. So I've talked with this team quite a lot through the ZRL season. They had a lot of trouble getting numbers at the beginning of the season, and they've really done quite well, and are very happy to have a D division in America's West, as there wasn't one in season 1. So
yeah, super job, and fantastic effort for winning their division. Sadly, because of the timings on these playoffs, the courses weren't able to field a team yesterday, with it being working hours in America on Friday afternoon. But really glad to see them fielding a team tonight and doing a great job. Back to the Mustangs. They are just heading the start of the helicom in reverse. So as I mentioned earlier for the ladies, it's got a fairly sharp start. Got an ATP team only 3 seconds up the road. It looks like they're going to be overtaken very, very shortly. So here we go. Ed Finney leading the way with 370 odd watts as they go through the ATP team just in front and now behind. Probably not the easiest place to pass. You don't really want to have to ramp up even more on a 10% hill, but they've done a great job getting through. Looks like we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All 6 are through. So great job, Mustangs, getting through on the hill. And there is got what may just be solo riders in front. They don't appear to all be in. Well, we've got 2 of them are cryogen, so I don't think they're a team. But we've got 3 riders in front, all quite a bit apart, so they'll should be relatively easy to overtake there. Craig, what sort of progress the course is making? Have they managed to all join up together again?
So it looks like Dennis had an issue, and so he's dropped off. So they're continuing on through the desert as a team of 4. They were just passed by a cryogen C team, and it looks like one of them got stuck in the draft and they're just reforming as 4 now. So they've well done to Dennis, and Dennis is still there. Sorry, just lost view of him, but. Dennis is still moving on in case of a dropout, so they'll still have a result. But they're moving on with just the 4 and pushing good watts through the desert with Eric pulling high 3s and up into the 4 very briefly to pull all this back together. Back to you, James.
Thank you. And just to touch on the race from earlier, I can announce that in the C category, the Otters have come away with a fantastic win, having beaten Ionian Chicas, who are in second, with the ATP Racing Hive in third, and Herd of Meerkats in fourth. So, fantastic job to both of our teams, and really well done to the Otters for winning the playoffs. So, great job. Back to this race. The Mustangs have overtaken all 3 of the solo riders I mentioned just earlier, and they are on the nicer part of this KOM, where it is 0% and not +10, which is always a bit daunting. So we are at 9 kilometres. We've got about 20 and a half to go, and we are 14 minutes through the race. One of our YouTube viewers, Carlos Fernandez, has let us know that there was a good bit of rivalry between the ATP team and the Mustangs, so definitely would have been a bit of motivation to catch and overtake as quickly as they possibly could do. Looking back to those 2 cryogen riders, they're now 12 seconds behind. So solid pass. We've got the banner coming up just around this corner, so the hill will ramp up a little bit to, I think it's around about 4 or 5% before we go over the banner, and then they've got a really quick descending section before they turn right and then left towards the desert for 10 kilometres of flat as you like. Craig, what sort of distance of the course is that now?
So the courses are at 14.8. They just crossed the start line for the Fuego Flat Sprint. So they're about to be passed by the BRT Badgers C team. And so it does look like the rhinos behind them have pulled back some of that time that the coursers fought back on the KOM. But they're moving along nicely, and it looks like they're sharing turns very nicely, very smooth, and worked into a pace line now that they're down to 4.
Good job. Mustangs are just through 10 kilometres, just doing the last couple of turns of the descent. And then we'll go over the bridge, and then we've got right-hand turn, and then a left-hand turn onto everyone's favourite 3% section going towards the desert. So, yeah, these guys will be pretty tired having just done the climb. At least they've had a little bit of a recovery going back down the hill. And then it's back to it pretty much straight away, trying to get back into a nice sort of routine pattern with a few pulls in between. See, Ed's currently sat in third wheel of this group of 6, and we've got Boone at the front at the moment. Looks like Marlon's just overtaken to take the pull. Craig, did you say the courses they're all doing organised pulls? If you'd like to talk to us a little bit about how that works.
Yeah, so they're it looks like they're doing somewhere in the 30-second to 45-second pulls, where so one rider goes to the front, fights the wind for and goes above the threshold pace they're able to maintain, and then drops back into the draft and rests, and the next rider takes their turn. So the group of 4 riders can go much faster than a single rider could, and it works even better the more riders you have. So it is a bit of a disadvantage to be down to just the 4, but they're executing the technique very well.
Yeah, and it might sound like quite difficult, and yes, it is a bit, to go off the front for 30 seconds and do well over your sort of threshold power. But once you've done your turn, the best way of getting back into place is just stop pedaling entirely, and then wait for a couple of riders to pass you and then get going again. And you'll, as the last rider in the chain, you'll be able to expend lesser watts than those in front of you. So that gives you a little bit of a chance to recover. Back to the Mustangs. They're 12k through this 29-30 kilometer routes, and they will be able to see the desert fairly shortly. They're just in the last little climby bits of this section between downtown Watopia and the desert, and they'll shortly be coming up to, well, shortly be passing the return to Titans Grove Reverse, which you'll be able to see on the right-hand side very shortly. Then they are back to the desert, and then we'll pass the pens, go through the mini loop, round the whole desert, bypass the roundabout, and then head up the roundabout climb before heading back towards downtown Watopia. So we're getting on for halfway distance. In about another couple of kilometers time. I've done the main bulk of the climbing already in this first half, so definitely it's the flatter section towards the finish.
So James, the coursers are doing quite well. So it does look like the Rhino team behind them, so presuming that they started 1 minute behind, have pulled out almost half of that now, seeing them about 32 seconds back. But they're doing very well to maintain exactly where they are, and I'm seeing Anne Fleming, who came over from another team to help out in that America's West. There's not a lot of teams, not as many teams there as in the bigger European division, and so she's taking probably some of the longest pulls here. So they're doing well. They're coming right in. They're coming through into the oasis in the desert. They're sitting at 18 kilometers.
Good job. Just looking at gaps, we've got the Cryogen team are 42 seconds behind, but we've got Electric Spirit who are now only 19 seconds in front, so they're definitely the Mustangs' next target on the road, and they are bringing this gap down quite quickly. Looking at them, they look to be doing mainly mid-twos, got one on the front doing low freeze, and the Mustangs are heading along. Front pace looks to be about 4, with low freeze and high 2s in the middle. But this gap is coming down relatively quickly as we just hit the mini loop at the start of the Tempest Fugit part of this course. So it's at 17 seconds at the moment. We're at 14.2k, having gone through about 21.5 minutes and 115 meters of elevations. So we've got we're onto the 10 kilometer desert section now, and as I mentioned earlier, after that we'll hit the roundabout and then do the climb towards the forest, and then through that towards downtown Watopia. Just to mention one of the comments we've had from our YouTube viewers, from Ella Newart. She's here to cheer on her dad. So let's go, Eric. Let's go. Do whatever you can, and all we want is that you do your best, which I'm absolutely certain that you are doing. Craig, back to the courses.
Okay, so we've got a problem now. So right now it looks like Anne is riding by herself. So there's been she's lost connection, and I'm not sure. Hopefully they're able to deal with this, because obviously they need the 4 riders to finish. So they're there, and the unfortunate part is they can't draft off each other in this state. So they're going to have to regroup, hopefully, when all this comes back together.
Not what you need in the middle of the TT, but sadly these technical issues can happen, and quite often when everyone disappears, it is normally an internet connection issue. So it sounds like she may have had a little dropout, which is really, really sad news. Especially given that the team is quite small as it is. But just coming back to the Mustangs, the gap team in front actually is now a Cryogen team, and they are only 7 seconds up the road, and that's coming down pretty quickly, and it looks like they're only doing about 2 watts a kilo. So the Mustangs should latch onto them pretty quickly as we just approach 16 kilometers, still in the desert, with about 14 to go. So fingers crossed for Anne and the coursers. Hopefully Anne is able to rejoin connectivity and see some other riders in front. But we're not sure. Craig, any progress on that issue?
So I've just been checking, and it looked okay. So it's looking better now. So now I'm watching Eric, and it looks like all 4 riders are visible again. I switched it from Anne to Jay, and Jay hadn't been able. I hadn't seen anybody except just Jay. So now we're seeing all 4 riders again. It looks like I believe that the Valhalla C team that has just gone through, and they currently have a 20 or 30 second lead on the rhinos. It's hard to tell, because unless the rhinos are that split up, it's not showing a unified team. So they're moving along well. They're moving through the desert, and you're going to get ready to finish this off. There's currently at 21 kilometers and moving well again. So if they did lose touch with each other, they were able to all maintain the same pace and regroup very quickly.
Well done, coursers. Mustangs have actually done 2 overtakes in a very, very short space of time. They've overtaken the Cryogen team, and they've now gone past Electric Spirit Co. Next up the road is the Scottish Zwift Scotland team. They are 30 seconds up. So we've got about 12 kilometres to go. So can the Mustangs catch on to them as well? But yeah, Mustangs are flying at the moment, holding generally 42 to 44 kph on the flats, and doing particularly well. And gap to Z Scott is now down to 26. So this looks to be coming down fairly quickly. Just having a quick look at the YouTube comments. Bold bearded bicyclist has also mentioned the fact that Mustangs are flying at 42 to 44 kph. And Carlos is pondering whether or not the Mustangs will stay together as a six, or whether or not one of the riders will go really hard and do basically a suicide pool, which is essentially where you give everything for, let's say, your last 30 seconds, maybe a minute, to burn yourself out, but give your team a good draft to go along at a slightly higher pace for a short period of time. But at the moment, we have all six together. Not certain whether or not we'll have six over the line. We'll find out in the next 15 minutes or so. But we're at 80.3. Just going over one of the very few bumps in the desert, which peaks up to a massive 3%. And we're just about to go back downhill again. Again, a massive 3%. But Z Scott is, even in the time that I've been speaking, that gap's dropped by about 10 seconds. So got group of 4 Scottish riders who were 15 seconds up the road, and then got a dirt team another 30 in front of that. So definitely some carrots being dangled in front of our Mustangs, and hopefully they're able to gobble them all up. Craig, back to you on the courses.
Okay, so right now the courses are doing very well. Eric Newert has been putting in a very big pull. Just moved back to the back, and Jay Mahab's taken over. So they're pulling at they're pretty much pulling at just over FTP, and they're going hard. So they've been maintaining that gap backwards with the rhinos behind them at about 20 seconds for quite a time. And I mean, given the relative seedings and the fact that the coursers did come from the smallest division, the smallest D division in the Zwift Racing League, they're putting in an excellent effort, and very glad to see this. This is an excellent way to kind of celebrate and finish off season 2 for all the herd teams. It's been a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. I'm sure I know you do too, James, and it's been a whole lot of fun. So over to you.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed ZRL or ZRL, as people keep on incorrectly pronouncing the letter Z. It's been a lot of fun. I've certainly enjoyed the camaraderie around having our team, and obviously, Craig, you and I represent the Herd of Mad Mustangs, which was named due in part to the fact I haven't had a haircut for over 6 months, as well as the fact that the mullets are what we like to call the new B riders, party at the back, business at the front. So ZRL has been, and is, continues to be, 5 scratch races, where generally they're a little bit on the bumpy side, as the Mustangs overtake the Swiss Scotland team, and have 33 seconds to go up to the dirt team. So hopefully they can chase that down. But yeah, so the ZRL this series, we had 3 team time trials, just like you're watching at the moment, and we had 5 scratch races like the one we had on last night. So definitely seen some challenging routes. Don't know about you, Craig, but I thought the 3 laps of a whole lot of lava was interesting.
I thought it was great, James. I loved it so much I did it twice.
Yeah, in one day. You crazy, crazy man. I mean, why wouldn't you want to do 6 volcano comms in one day? I mean, it sounds like what everyone would want to do in their spare time.
Yeah, so
We all
the sixth one definitely didn't go very well, but the America's West B team needed someone, and I was actually feeling pretty recovered by then. It had been a bunch of hours, so I gave my best effort for them. So back to the race. The coursers are doing well. They're coming down out of the junction with the Titans Grove Road and crossing the bridge. So they're going to be hitting the tunnel very soon. They're at 24.8 kilometers, and they're moving along well. It does look like the rhinos are going to put in the catch, though. They're currently under 10 seconds behind.
And the Mustangs gap to the dirt team in front is now down to 25 seconds. So hopefully they should be able to latch on by the end of this race. They are around about a kilometre from the roundabout, after which we will hit the 5% climb out of the desert towards Titans Grove. Just touching on a couple of the other routes that we did this series. We had the Innsbruck after party, which was another of those let's call them interesting courses that were an awful lot of fun. We did I think it was 3 laps, Craig, of Innsbruck Ring before we took on the Innsbruck Com, which goes on for quite a while.
It was 3 laps of Innsbruck Ring, and I know for myself that that Innsbruck KOM is just a little too much for me. I blew up quite hard going up that, and but was luckily able to work on helping to get some sprint points on the Innsbruck Ring. So they've done it. They did a very good job in season 2 of mixing up the courses a little bit more and having some variety, and it was a real challenge tactically, and which all part of the fun.
Definitely. It was really nice to see there's something for sprinters and there's something for climbers as well. And just going back to what you were saying about the Innsbruck Com, I think you've done yourself a slight disservice there, because you did absolutely hammer the 3 sprint intervals as well. So it's not at all surprising that you were feeling a little bit tired for the Com. Whereas where I was in the race, I just went for one of the sprints, didn't pick up any points, but then did whatever I could on the climb and made up a few positions there. But we certainly had an interesting TTT on the Knickerbocker routes in New York, which for those of you who've ridden in New York will know there isn't very much flat. It's either up or it's down, and the New York Com is pretty spicy as well. So that definitely gave a good challenge in terms of communicating with all of your team, rather than like what we've seen today, where it's been predominantly flat, and it's mainly sit in, do a 30-second pull, get back into your group, sit in for another 2.5 minutes, and then do your 30-second pull. The Knickerbocker gave an additional challenge because it is so up and down, and because the Com is quite so steep, spiking up to 15% in some places. It's so important to keep open channels of communication. Now, some teams might just use your text facility that Zwift offers, but a lot of teams like to use Discord. So we're constantly chatting to each other. Sometimes slightly harder than others when you're going full out up a hill, but being able to call out gaps to make sure that everyone stays together for your optimal race pace. But just coming back to the race, Mustangs have pulled this gap down really, really quickly. They are now within about 5 seconds of the dirt team in front. Coursers must be pretty close to the end now, Craig.
The coursers are underwater. They were they were just passed by the rhinos, who have now pulled out 7 seconds. But it does appear that there's only 3 riders there. So I don't know whether they've got their they've got somebody dealing with that ghost bug or what's going on, but there's only 3 riders visible there. But the courses are continuing to move on and swapping poles, and they're just about to climb out of the tunnel and take that last couple kilometers towards the finish line.
Super job, courses. The Mustangs have gone past the turning towards Titans Grove, and they are now on the downhill, all in single file. They are just approaching 25 kilometres, so they've got less than 5 to go as well. So we'll shortly see them in the tunnel. But I think the courses are done with the tunnel, and they're not too far from the finish.
They're not. So they got slowed quite a bit coming up the ramp. They're gradually they're regrouping and picking the pace back up here. So they've got they're approaching the last kilometer, and they are moving along. So there's a C team less than 10 seconds behind them. And so that looks like that pass is going to happen, which is always a bit of a mess as you approach the finish. So the coursers have now recovered. They're back in their pace line and moving on. But we'll see what happens as they go up this hill, and expect the higher category team on this ramp before the T junction is probably going to come past. But the coursers are pushing very hard, all up above threshold power, coming up this last little hill and getting the run into the finish as fast as they can. So they're
too far to go now.
No, not far at all. They're making the right turn. So looks like. And that pass is happening right now. So right on the downhill, on the run into the finish, the DZR team in the C's is coming through. It is kind of working out as a bit of an advantage. I mean, it is an accepted in the time trial. You're supposed to back off when a team passes, but the run to the finish is always a little bit of a free-for-all because everybody's just hitting everything as hard as they can. But this may have ended up as a little bit of an advantage for the coursers on the catch happening right exactly when it did. So 4 of the DZR made the pass. The coursers pull through, and they're done at about 50-30. So good result for them.
Really nice sprint finish from Eric there as well, and it looks like the team behind didn't quite all get through. But back to the Mustangs, we've got around about 3 kilometres to go. We are just doing about to hit the big windy corner before we climb out of the tunnel section, and then it will be pretty much all into the finish line. So we're 27k through, just under 40 minutes gone, 144 meters have been climbed. But yeah, not far to go. Just having a quick look through some of the comments again on YouTube. Nathan Home, who we followed last night, said he enjoyed Innsbruck. Not sure if he means the flat bits, the leg snapper, or the Innsbruck con, but no doubt he will let us know. Carlos is saying that he's expecting Felipe and Tim to both mutate into Hulk and the Tank as they go absolutely crazy at the end of this route, which we are not far away from at all. They will very shortly be able to see the ramp out of the tunnel, which they can now see. But yeah, no, the Mustangs have done an absolutely phenomenal job tonight. The number of overtakes they've made, they are catching down another cryogen team in front. Gap is 34 seconds. That's coming down quite quickly. And Loads of overtakes tonight. Just coming over the last bit of a ramp before we head towards the finish line, which is in around about 1.5 kilometres time. And the rain comes out in Watopia. I strongly suspect that these guys wish it was actually raining in their living rooms, studies, garages, wherever they're actually riding. But sadly, they're not going to be getting any sprayed water from their faces at the moment. But we have 2 turns to go. We've got the right-hand turn and then what isn't really a turn, but it's a left-hand bend before we hang a right and then a left to the banner and what will go past the pens before that happens as well. Carlos Fernandez says that isn't rain. It's tears from the other teams that the Mustangs are dominating. Looks like we're going to go past a solo rider for one of the vegan teams just up the road, and he's set off and let them all get past without any difficulty whatsoever. We have our right-hand turn coming up now, and then I think we'll be down to the last kilometre. So big shout out to the Mustangs. Just to quickly call off the team list, we've got Ed Finney, who I've been watching tonight. We've got Felipe Alberto, Foster Boone, Jim Logan, Marlon De Silva, and Tim Watkins, and they are your Super 6 Mustangs who have done an absolutely phenomenal job tonight. We are just going over 29 kilometres. We just have the left-hand bend before we will be able to see the finish line. So it looks like it's going to be around about 43 minutes, which is a really, really strong show. There's the banner. Get those ride-ons coming out, guys. Mustangs have been brilliant tonight. Ed Finney pushing out 500 watts, says he can't sprint, but they are over the line. Brilliant job by everyone. So all that remains for me to say is a big thank you to Craig, to Claire, to Grace, to our Mustangs, our coursers, our Meerkats, our Otters, our Dolphins, and our Bobcats. Brilliantly well done, and a really good herd event. And also a massive thank you to WTRL. Martin and Stephen have done an absolutely phenomenal job putting this series together with the support of Zwift. Thank you everyone who's been watching on YouTube. We had unbelievable viewing numbers tonight and last night. Thank you all ever so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you and good night.